Almost as surprising as how cold it's been here in Vancouver, I mean, these mittens have become a co-star on my show, is how much I've been enjoying the recent collaborations between Mark Wahlberg and Peter Berg. The latest is called Patriots Day, and it's about the Boston Marathon bombing that took place in 2013. And it's called Patriots Day, and it has Mark Wahlberg sort of gritting his teeth and getting things done. And I thought, oh my God, this is going to be too much to bear. And I really felt that all the way through the opening scenes of this movie, where we actually have a sequence where Mark Wahlberg gets home from a tough day at on the job. He's been kind of demoted because he's a wise ass, and he's got a hobbled knee. He sits down on the couch. He opens a Budweiser and starts rifling through his collection of baseball cards. And I'm like, oh my God, this is too much. I'm not going to be able to handle this movie. But then everything kind of veers into sort of a clockwork espionage, crackling thriller. I mean, you really get the sense of the methodical research that went into this movie to break down every beat, every second, and every sort of plot thread and side story that they could to kind of mesh together a heartfelt and sensitive kind of portrait of what went down on that horrific day. And yeah, I gotta say, I mean, this was really handled just like Deepwater Horizon was handled, with a kind of a light touch and a real sense of just wanting to honor, obviously the victims of the bombing, but also all of the first responders and the medical personnel that arrived on the scene and took care of all of these people. And then, we've got the sequence of the bombing that takes place, which is horrific and suspenseful, and you just don't want those bombs to go off. You want history to just kind of veer in a different direction, but when it does, it's just devastation, and you just feel for everybody on the scene. It was just a couple of years ago. It was just a few years ago, so of course we can remember all of that stuff, and to see it portrayed again with such perfection and its realization, I mean, it really captured everything. They've got some newsreel footage and then awesome special effects to just give you a sense of really being by the road as these marathoners are going by and the explosions going off, and that's all horrifying. But the minute that happens, almost seconds after these bombs go off, the movie kind of shifts gears and becomes this detective thriller, and it's just amazing to watch all of these sequences boil down, and it's amazing to think of the actual real-life situations that occurred and the threats that happen with innocent people. A guy gets his car carjacked by the bombers and gets driven all over Boston, and he's horrified, and obviously you can just read a newspaper and get all the details of the events that occurred in this movie, and it is a reflection of what went down in real life, but I'm really impressed by the way that Peter Berg and his team kind of assembled everything to make it feel real, but also make it thrilling and visceral, and put us in these positions and put us in these apartments and in these vehicles and in these college dorms and in these police command centers and in these hospital sequences. You get a sense of the families that have their lives torn apart, and you even get a sense of what the small town cops in Watertown, Massachusetts, this smaller city beside Boston that got embroiled in this famously. JK Simmons plays a sergeant on patrol there and sort of supervising people, and he gets embroiled in this madness, and it's unbelievable to watch the sequences that unfold, especially the Watertown sequences. You just can't believe that this stuff happened in real life. I mean, that's the way this movie plays out. Peter Berg has a very distinct cinematic style. He had it in Friday Night Lights. He had it in Deepwater Horizon. He's got a floating camera that just sort of keeps you invested in these action sequences. Cars are blowing up and machine guns are pulled out, and there's bullets being sprayed everywhere, people being run over. It is just unbelievable that all that stuff went down on a public city street as they were chasing these bombers in 2013. All the performances are great. Mark Wahlberg is a little bit distracting because we see him in this kind of role all the time. He's always got to be this virtuous hero, but he's good at that. He does carry this sense of honor quite well, and I know that his intentions to make this movie, and I think almost all of the choices that he's been making recently, are to honor people that are in the toughest form of service you can imagine and putting their lives on the line every day to kind of protect people. And I think he does do that. I think it was more interesting to see supporting players, though, like John Goodman, who's a fantastic superintendent in there. We've got Kevin Bacon playing an FBI agent who's kind of leading the scene. And there's lots of great supporting roles all the way through here. Michelle Monaghan kind of gets wasted as the wife role, and it's awful to see that. I mean, we do get a few moments of, the wife being important to Mark Wahlberg, mostly to bring him a knee brace and stuff like that, and to offer a measure of support. But surely there could have been a little bit more interesting work for her to do. This movie did take me by surprise, though. I wasn't expecting to appreciate it as much. I can't remember the last time I've seen a horrific terrorist event like that so quickly transferred and transformed into a cinematic story. It feels very relevant, particularly because there are still a lot of horrific events like this happening on a reoccurring basis. And it definitely gives one pause. I mean, you certainly have to sit and think about all of that carnage and all of that hate and the reasons why, and you feel for the victims like crazy, and some of them are actually interviewed and put on screen at the end, which was another great touch in this movie. It's hard not to be shaken by this film, and I think that's really a testament to how well Peter Berg handled this material. I think it's showing that this guy has got a really great sense of maturity. I don't think he's that young buck anymore that's just trying to show he's got these directing chops and he can handle action and tough moments well on screen. Deepwater Horizon I was really impressed by as well. And once again, I mean, I think this is an even better film than that. I'm going to give Patriots Day an 8.5 out of 10. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.